back when I was commanding a corps in 4 Corps in Arunachal, where I was responsible for security of line of actual control of Tawang and area around. I remember we had developed a small artificial intelligence software, low ability, but when there was an attempt by China, foil attempt, that the Yangtze, there is a place where it is disputed and only held by India, only disputed territory held by India. They unprecedented this. They tried their last time their attempt, unprecedented attempt. While this happened for 2 months, through some of the AI systems, we could see that there is some issue which is building up. But finally, we could predict the time when they are coming with us. And the prediction helped us to place our resources at the right places. And we could foil the attempt of Chinese, unprecedented attempt. And thereafter, having no casualties by us, and we could place our resources and evacuation in time. So no casualty, and highest, I think, unprecedented gallantry award we got in that action, 19 of them. So artificial intelligence prediction tools can actually help you operationally very effectively. I would also say that we should also build agentic systems for higher fusion, and at national level also have all the systems of economic security and other things also deployed together, so that it can help our apex level leadership to decide that what are the actions they're taking, what are the second and third order effect of those actions, rather than looking at in isolation. The civil military fusion is the order of the day. I think this gives our responsible activity, and we can really enhance our capabilities there, boost our talent, and lastly, more importantly, when we become this as a superpower, which are aspiring, and I'm sure we'll be in that path, I'm sure we are going to become a very responsible AI power, as we are a responsible nuclear power. When we acquire the nuclear capability, no first use itself shows that India is a very responsible power, and this kind of super intelligence, once we acquire, would be very effectively and responsibly used. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for those valuable insights. We now move to our next keynote speaker, a distinguished civil servant who has played a foundational role in shaping India's digital and AI journey. Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma, Senior IAS Officer of the Kerala cadre, served as Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma is currently a member of the Public Enterprises Selection Board, Government of India, responsible for selecting top executives for central public sector enterprises. He earlier served as Secretary, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, where he led major national digital initiatives, including digital governance, India Stack Global, digital public infrastructure, Bhashini, Digital India Language Translation Platform, the National Program on AI, Semiconductor Program, Production-Linked Incentive Schemes for Electronics Manufacturing, and the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, significantly shaping India's digital economy. Prior to MeitY, he served as Secretary and Additional Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat under the Prime Minister of India, where he apprised key cabinet proposals across infrastructure, finance, agriculture, industry, and urban development, and monitored mega national projects through the PMO's Project Monitoring Group. May I have Shri Alkesh Kumar Sharma ji on the stage, please? Yes.
Thank you, Lieutenant General Rana, Dr. Chandrika Kaushik, Mr. Suhas, distinguished Army officials, my colleague in MeitY, Dr. Sanjay Bahel, distinguished friends. It is a matter of great privilege for me to be here this morning. And at the outset, I would like to congratulate both Bell and Globals for organizing this event, which is quite appropriate, part of the Global AI Summit. And last year, I remember when our Prime Minister was in 3rd AI Global Summit in Paris, he underscored the transformative impact of AI on society. emphasizing both its rapid evolution and widespread adoption. He highlighted AI's expanding role in shaping politics, economics, national security, and governance. As we all know, artificial intelligence is no longer a technological advancement. It has the potential to drive innovation, enhance productivity, and act as a force multiplier for security in the defense. It is the strategic capability shaping economic power, geopolitical influence, and national resilience. In fact, AI is becoming the defining capability of the 21st century, reshaping competitiveness and sovereignty. And the decisions which we take today on AI investment and governance will go a long way in defining the trajectory of nations for decades. And that is why India has taken some early lead. And it was not long ago, let me take a step back, that we started talking about AI. It was in late 21 or early 22 when we said there is something called AI and we should start doing something about it. And that is when the first AI platform, indiaaisummit, was set up. We started the first national program on AI in 2022 as part of Digital India Initiative. And that is when we launched the India Stack in 2022. This Digital India Initiative actually helped India strengthening its AI policy architecture and digital governance framework. There was a push towards trusted digital public infrastructure and indigenous technology ecosystem. It gained momentum. We developed institutional framework for structured AI adoption across sectors, AI in health, education, agriculture. The Center of Excellence started, announced in the budget, and we started working on that, developed national, greater emphasis was placed on data governance, DPI, innovative ecosystem, and public-private partnership. And all this has led to a strong base for India's AI mission, which was launched a year later, after we actually held the Global Partnership Summit in December 2023. A collaborative ecosystem between government, startup, academia, and industry was set up. A framework for safe, trusted, secure, and accountable digital transformation was set up. The foundations built during this period continue to support India's expanding AI ecosystem today. While developing the policy framework, we had no doubt in our mind that only a sovereign AI would help India in achieving a safe, trusted, secure, and responsible AI. As we all know, rented models will not only have biases, but data quality, security, and Indian context will be missing in those. India's sovereign AI framework will develop, control, and regulate AI systems aligned with our national interest. And it is not isolation. It is the strategic autonomy combined with a trusted collaboration. Today, India is witnessing AI-driven transformation across sectors, whether it is legal, finance, healthcare, agriculture, governance, manufacturing. I mean, you talk about it. While I am now in my new role, picking up top executives for the CPSEs in India, I'm finding that CPSEs are developing new AI applications which are not only increasing efficiency in operations, but they are creating higher value addition across the value chain, from incremental to multifold jumps. As a startup are disrupting traditional sectors, large enterprises are embedding AI operations. As we know, our policy framework rests on 7 important pillars. But let me come back to the AI in defense and strategic importance. India recognizes the strategic importance of AI in defense. It recognizes the need to leverage AI to enhance combat capabilities, streamline decision-making processes, and optimize resource deployment. And that's important for all our defense forces. In this context, AI offers immense force multiplier potential, enabling superior situational awareness, autonomous systems, and data-driven strategies. As technology evolves, we must be aware of the latest, what is happening to maintain our operational superiority. In defense and national security context, India's AI policy framework must ensure control over critical data sets, reduce dependence on external AI systems, alignment with national doctrine and values, and protection of our strategic infrastructure. Now, AI is embedded across defense systems, which Lieutenant General has talked about, but AI in defense must be controlled, auditable, and accountable. It can create havoc if it is not properly controlled. Responsible AI in defense requires human oversight, ethical safeguard, risk assessment framework, and clear accountability mechanisms. So, India must pursue sovereign AI with safety, trust, and accountability, strategic capability with ethical oversight, and indigenous innovation with global cooperation. India has the opportunity to become a leader in AI. We can lead responsibly, strategically, and confidently. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We now welcome one of India's most accomplished and respected defense scientists. She is an inspiration to many, especially women aspiring to lead in science, technology, and national security. Featured by India Today as a leading women defense leader, she has made outstanding contributions to India's strategic capabilities. It is none other than Dr. Chandrika Kaushik, Distinguished Scientist and Director General, Production, Coordination and Services Interaction, DRDO. Let's welcome Chandrika Kaushik, ma'am, please.
Thank you. Okay. Lieutenant General Rana, CNC SFC, Mr. Alkesh Kumar Sharma, former Secretary MIT, Shri Suhas Gopinath, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I must compliment the Bell and Global's team for organizing this very, very relevant topic, at least from the security agency's perspective, on AI for strategic defense as a part of the AI Impact Summit 2026, which is absolutely imperative today, looking at the way things are changing. Operational environments for soldiers are progressively becoming complex with incorporation of advanced technologies into military operations, be it network-centric warfares, multi-domain operations, unmanned combat systems. These complexities are resulting in increased information overloads, reduced reaction times, and quick decision cycles for the human operator. In order to cater to these challenges, it is the need of the hour to introduce autonomy into our military systems to augment the capabilities of the soldier. In June 2018, the Government of India published the National Strategy for AI, focusing on how India can leverage the transformative AI technologies to ensure inclusive growth in all sectors of the society. From sensing to comprehension to action, today AI has pervaded numerous end-user applications ranging from computer vision to audio processing, natural language processing, knowledge representation, machine learning, expert systems, etc. The AI is being classified into three variants: descriptive AI, which describes what has happened, to predictive, which is anticipating what is going to happen, and to prescriptive AI, which recommends what to do. With the emerging technological capabilities, AI is geared up to serve as a promising tool to provide enhanced situational awareness to the commanders and operators in highly contested battlefield environments, making our military systems more accurate and our military operations more swift and precise. If we look at the various domains where AI will get integrated, and some of these areas our ecosystem is working on: underwater surveillance, navigation controls, advanced material characterization, hybrid high-fidelity models in the naval system domain, trajectory and maneuver planning, target identification, threat classification, aerodynamics, and controls. So I've listed out, I think for paucity of time, I'll not be able to get into the details, but if you look at it, you look at armaments, combat engineering, missiles, strategic systems, electronics and communication systems, computational, cyber systems, everywhere there is an application where AI is getting seamlessly integrated. In the near future, AI will find applications in multiple operational areas, and some of the use cases I'm just going to deliberate in the next few minutes. With the upcoming challenges of long-range interceptions, reduced reaction times and saturation of airspace, AI-based decision support systems can greatly augment faster, adaptive, and intelligent decision-making across early surveillance, automated threat classification, quick and autonomous interception, and real-time battle damage assessment. Similarly, in the counter unmanned aerial systems grid, it can be used to neutralize threats from subconventional aerial platforms like drones, loitering munitions, swarm drones with a networked system of AI-powered.
Encourage our students to think about solving grand challenge problems much sooner. So here I would like to call out a project aihealthcare that Professor Swami Manohar has been championing. You can see articles about his vision in Medium and other forum. So that also, while we sort of make conventional modes of learning AI enabled, we should also think about new kinds of things that we do during learning. Another vision he has is that of providing with every student a lifelong agent that not only helps him fill his learning gaps, his or her learning gaps during normal learning process in school, but also, enables him or her to develop skills as they go through their professional career for full lifelong learning. A third very important point I want to make is that we need to use this dynamic environment. Vibhu mentioned the crucial importance of data, and as digitized AI-enabled learning is made nationwide and widespread, we should use this opportunity to provide privacy protected access to data to researchers so that they can develop algorithms which have greater chance of translational impact. And I would really like to call out that while we create national level efforts, researchers also play this very, very crucial role of connecting us to the technological developments that are happening worldwide. As we connect with the international research community, education that way is a human level challenge, and we also need to collaborate with the rest of the world as we come up with the best method of solving our problems. Thank you.
Okay, Vibhu, because she mentioned project aihealthcare, which I'm aware of, so I relate the next question to you. Policies, pedagogical strategies are imperative for integrating AI tools in education, which we mentioned, while safeguarding, enhancing core human cognitive skills, critical thinking, creativity, and curiosity. You have studied in IIT Bombay. In the current scenario, how can education system, if reformed, will develop an AI-ready talent with skills that complement and possibly surpass machine capabilities?
So this is, I think, probably the most interesting question, and I can afford to be a little bit controversial. I think education is the field that will change the most. And I think in some ways, because I only have 2 minutes to talk about it, I will even say that within education, the thing that will change the most is the form of content delivery. We have had books for 500 years, and they have not really fundamentally changed. I think in the next few years, we will see books being replaced by essentially the equivalent of AI models. Books that will allow you to talk to the book, talk to the author of the book, argue with the author of the book. Wouldn't you like to be able to read the Mahabharata from the viewpoint of either the author or from the viewpoint of Draupadi or Vidur? You want to be able to try and get descriptions, understanding, analysis of all of these things in ways that have never been possible. So I think actually the way education will change is that we will no longer focus on rote learning. We will no longer focus on memorization. We will focus more on analysis. We will focus more on pushing the boundaries. And I'll keep this very short because just before Professor Gaur came up to me in the morning, I was reminded of a Pali word that I don't know how to pronounce. So for any of you in the audience who know Pali, forgive me. The word is Ananya Ananta Samintindriya, which is a word that I don't think has an equivalent translation in any language. It says, I look forward to the joy of knowing things that I know I do not yet know. I think in some ways education will change to try and drive more curiosity, more drive, increase motivation because of the inherent joy in learning things. So from my point of view, especially given that I am seated on a podium with 3 IIT directors, let me be controversial and say maybe we will not need IITs teaching the way they do today.
Here we'll take a quick pause. I would like to invite Honorable Minister of State, Shri Jayant Chaudhary on the stage to share his thoughts with the panelists and with the audience.
Honorable Cabinet Minister Dharmendra Pradhan ji, our very distinguished panel of experts, our reservoir of knowledge, and to listen to whom this very select audience is here. Of course, it's a disparate audience from technologists to researchers, students. And the success of this AI summit that is happening for the first time, a global event of this stature in the global south, is that we've also drawn in what could be perceived as a casual visitor who is inquisitive. We don't know what impact this summit, this congregation, this conversation, what deep-rooted impact it is going to have on that casual visitor, who today may just be a consumer, but can definitely be the thinker and innovator and producer of the future. If you look at technology, technology will always break down walls. But sometimes technology can also erect their own barriers. And that is where this summit is a departure, and this technology offers a different promise. This is not AI summit. It is India AI Impact Summit. Can AI become a common good? How can these technologies become more citizen-centric? How they can empower our learners, our teachers, our students, our workers, our researchers, our entrepreneurs. So there are 3 ideas, 3 questions, 3 thoughts that I, sitting there, thought of that I'll share with you. First idea is, how can citizens at mass engage with AI? And here I commend the vision and the work put in by IIT Madras, which was given the Center of Excellence for Education, an Honorable Minister and our leadership, our Prime Minister, thinking of and ideating on us building a stack, the education stack, the full spectrum. We know we are capturing a lot of data. We know we have academic bank of credit. We have a digital backbone. We are now able to capture minutest details of the educational journey of every student of our country. And the same applies to skilling through Skill India Digital Hub. How we can offer and use that data to ensure that our models represent Indian cultural ethos, Indian context, Indian challenges, Indian problems, and how these technologies and platforms can help solve those problems. That is the core idea behind Bodhan AI and the India Stack. Second question is, how will students and educational systems engage with AI? And here, in skilling, we've always been talking and emphasizing on lifelong learning. When I was in school, the most popular question that was asked by any outsider who would come to school would be, "Beta, bade hoke kya banna chahte ho?" डॉक्टर बनना चाहते हो या इंजीनियर बनना चाहते हो. जो ज़्यादा क्रिएटिव बच्चा था वो कहता था मैं एस्ट्रोनॉट बनना चाहता हूँ. But now these major vertical buckets may not exist in the same way as careers. Within those large vertical buckets, now students of today and the future will have to think about the micro skill, the bundling of skill, and how to renew their knowledge of the application of that knowledge through skilling. So that lifelong skilling, which we've always been talking about, somehow, because of AI, I have the confidence that as a concept, it is going to become and emerge as a very strong realization by all the students of India. That is how AI is going to impact how students engage with AI. And my hope, and I'm saying this as Minister of Education for School, is that once you're able to continuously path the journey, assess the journey of every student, maybe someday you can do away with examinations. Because examinations are a static assessment at one point. But with AI, you can have a more intuitive understanding of every child who is special, every child who's unique. And here I come to the third point. How will teachers, who are the fulcrum, who are the center point of our educational family, who are our major way of delivering reforms, how will our teachers engage with AI? Out there in nature, it is survival of the fittest. But in schools, we are able to create a cocoon of safety, where curiosity is also rewarded. And here, like I said, every child has unique possibilities, and every child may not be keeping pace with every other child. When you design a system, you design for the average. But National Education Policy 2020 has given us the task, given the educationalists a task, given teachers a task, given the school systems a task, that you have to take care of every single child. And I have the confidence, looking at the kind of robust technologies, the startups we have just witnessed, there are many tools and products out there that teachers can use to ensure that no child is left behind. And lastly, I offer, because it's a unique audience and a great platform, on Skill India Digital Hub, we've launched a 15-hour course, free. You choose your own from top vendors. They have given us this course. It's a creditized course, 15 hours, you'll get a certificate, you'll understand the concept, and we want to send a very strong message to the whole world that India, at mass, at scale, we not only understand AI, but we are in a position to utilize AI, and we are in a position to provide leadership on the concepts of AI. So I invite the whole audience. I've done the course. It's not difficult. Please look at Skill India Digital Hub and sign up for SOAR. Thank you.
Now I invite the visionary behind our AI-driven transformation at Ministry of Education, the Honorable Minister of Education, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji. From the earliest concept to the creation of Center of Excellence in Agriculture, Health, Education, and Sustainable Cities, his leadership has anchored at AI within the ministry's core mission. Sir, the floor is yours to outline the strategic vision for AI-enabled education in India.
नमस्कार, थैंक यू गौर साहब. मैं सबसे पहले विभू जी को अभिनंदन करता हूं. इसीलिए अभिनंदन करता हूं, आपने 3 IIT डायरेक्टर बिठा के उनको आईना दिखाया. बेटा सुधर जाओ, नहीं तो रहोगे ही नहीं. IIT की घमंड में मत रहो. नया दुनिया बन रहा है. मित्रों, मैं आप सभी को नया दुनिया में स्वागत करता हूं और आप सबको सौभाग्यशाली मानता हूं. आपने भारत की ओर से आयोजित किया गया AI इम्पैक्ट सम्मेलन का हिस्सा बने, AI इम्पैक्ट समिट की पार्टिसिपेंट बने. निश्चित रूप में आप यहीं से एक नई दुनिया का इंस्पिरेशन लेके जाओगे. सबसे पहले मैं आप सबको शुभेच्छा देता हूं. मित्रों, मैं जब यहाँ आ रहा था, मेरे मित्र जयंत जी और हम दोनों, मैं मित्रों टेक्नोक्रेट नहीं हूँ, मैं पब्लिक पॉलिसी और जनता के साथ जुड़ने वाला व्यक्ति हूँ। मैं एक नई उत्साह, नई उमंग, नई दुनिया देख पा रहा था। मैं जयंत जी को कह रहा था, जयंत जी, दुनिया, ट्रेडिशनल दुनिया जिस प्रकार से सोचता है उससे काफी अलग भारत की नई पीढ़ी सोचने लगा है। अभी मैं बैठे बैठे सोच रहा था, एआई इन एजुकेशन और एजुकेशन इन एआई दोनों परिपूरक है। एआई के माध्यम से एजुकेट होना और एआई के बारे में खुद को एजुकेट करना हम सभी के लिए एक नई दुनिया बन चुकी है। मैं कभी कभी सोचता हूं, अभी फिर मैं विभू जी को कोट करूंगा, उन्होंने पाली भाषा के कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस का उच्चारण किया। शायद अभी वो एआई की किसी ने प्रॉम्प्ट नहीं किया होगा, इसीलिए उसकी भावार्थ के बारे में, उनकी मीनिंग के बारे में, उसकी डीपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग के बारे में कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म, कोई भी एलएलएम शायद उसकी उत्तर देने में अभी संभव नहीं होगा। इसीलिए हम भारत में प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट का आयोजन किया। मित्रों, भारत 21वीं सदी में एक नॉलेज बेस्ड सोसाइटी की ओर बढ़ रहा है, ज्ञान आधारित समाज की ओर बढ़ रहा है और हमारी इकोनॉमी जो आज दुनिया की 4th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी बने हैं, आने वाले दिनों में हम और बड़ा साइज की इकोनॉमी बनने वाले हैं। तब हम क्या कंज्यूमिंग इकोनॉमी रहेंगे या प्रोड्यूसिंग और मैन्युफैक्चरिंग इकोनॉमी बनेंगे? हमें लगता है एआई हमको एक अवसर दे रहा है। हमारी जो मल्टी डायमेंशनल सोसाइटी है, मल्टी कल्चरल सोसाइटी है, मल्टीलिंगुअल सोसाइटी है, कॉम्प्लेक्स सोसाइटी है, जिसकी आरंभ वेदकालीन समय से हुई है आज एआई इम्पैक्ट समिट तक, इस सारे दुनिया को समझना, अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी, अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ द मल्टी डायमेंशनलिटी, ये हमारे सामने सबसे बड़ी चुनौती है। और उसको लोक कल्याण में उसको यूज करना, उसको रिलेट करना, उसको ट्रांसलेट करना, उसको ट्रांसमिट करना, ये सब करने के लिए एआई एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण टूल बन चुकी है। मैं भारत की नई पीढ़ी को आज इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे आह्वान करना चाहता हूँ, इसके बारे में अंडरस्टैंडिंग बढ़ाएं, इसके बारे में डरने की कोई कारण नहीं है, इसकी नई आयाम को बनाएं, हमें टीम वर्क और बढ़ाएं। हम लोग यूनिवर्सिटी, स्टार्टअप्स, बिग कंपनी के साथ एक बिग पिक्चर बनाएं। हमारे सामने आने वाले दिनों में भारत की यंगस्टर्स, भारत की नई पीढ़ी एक एआई लेड, एआई ड्रिवेन ग्लोबल नॉलेज सेंटर बनेगा। इस शुभेच्छा के साथ आप सबको इस पैनल डिस्कशन में, बड़ा एमिनेंट पैनल यहाँ बना है, मैं पैनलिस्ट को आभार प्रकट करता हूँ, आप सभी को शुभेच्छा देता हूँ। इस महत्वपूर्ण प्लेटफॉर्म में इकट्ठा होकर हम सबके सामने टारगेट है 2047 तक भारत को विकसित करना है, भारत को एक डेवलप्ड इकोनॉमी में कन्वर्ट करना है। उसकी रास्ता एआई के माध्यम से हो। अनेक अनेक शुभेच्छा।
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring address and articulating such a clear, forward-looking vision for advancing AI-enabled education in India. Your guidance provides strategic direction for all of us. We work together towards building future-ready education ecosystem for the nation. So, Rajan, on the EdTech pivot you mentioned earlier, we have seen post-COVID Zoom era EdTech bubble and aftermath. With AI mission providing GPU access at a reasonable rate, do you see a new breed of AI native Indian startups, which you mentioned earlier, that can actually compete on IP rather than just marketing?
Yeah, so I think first thing is it's very difficult for a consumer internet company in India to compete on marketing today because there are lots of large companies that spend a lot more, right? So you have to have real IP, you have to have a real value proposition. As I mentioned before, I would say, look, from a next new generation of AI native edtech companies, we are already beginning to see the emergence of those. As I mentioned, the fastest growing AI in edtech company is actually Indian now, based in India. And we'll see a lot more of that. I actually wanted to use the time, since we have this amazing forum, to make two asks. I think it's wonderful that we have the AI centers of excellence. We have a big focus. But for India to really now go from, we are now building models. This week we'll see them. I think we'll have state-of-the-art models that go from 2 billion to 100 billion parameters. But if you really want to build an AI leader in the world, right, we have to lead the next generation. We have to build world models. We have to find new architectures. And to do that, we need to have many more AI researchers. The US and the UK today have 3,000 top-tier AI researchers each. The UK has 2,300, and India has 200. So my first ask is, since the Ministry of Higher Education is also represented, we have Minister here, how do we get to have 5,000 to 10,000 world-class, top-tier AI researchers? Because if we do that, we win, right? So that's the first. I think the second ask is, the AI mission has been great to have. I think the last count was 34,000 GPUs that are available. But I would love to see each of the IITs get maybe the IITs plus the IISCs and maybe the top 20 technical schools in the country get 2,000 to 3,000 GPUs so that researchers can do real research. Because, you know, it's very difficult to do AI research if you only have 22 GPUs. You just can't do that. You know, so today, any given one of the top 10 AI companies has more GPUs than all of India. So those are my two asks.
Professor Manindra, for you. Changing tracks, how do we prevent cognitive atrophy? It's a word which is being used. With scaled up AI in education, if AI handles the logic, what happens to thinking capacity of the generation that is supposed to lead India for Viksit Bharat at 2047?
Well, it's already a well-studied phenomenon that reliance on usage of AI leads to cognitive decline. And I'll draw an analogy with the era of mechanization. When that came in, it led to physical decline across the human population, obesity, lifestyle diseases, they all came in. And then came in gyms, specialized places which physically trained you. So I expect something very similar to happen in future with respect to cognitive abilities. There will be cognitive gyms coming up, which will allow those who are interested to train their mental abilities to bring them to a position where they can function properly.
Thank you. Professor Kamakoti, it's one-sentence predictions. I'll ask a couple of you. In 2035, will the world look for India or to India for its algorithms or its augmented humans? Which should be our calling and true frontier?
Algorithms.
Professor Saragi, what is the biggest win we should aspire by 2030 and fast forward to 2047?
Yeah, actually with AI, knowledge will become cheap, but we have to make sure that people get purpose and a sense of meaning, because if we are not rewarded on striving, then we have to find sort of other meanings in life, maybe from our community, develop mental resilience, and be better prepared to face the new challenges that we will get out of physical limitations of resources.
Vibhu, last one-liner for you. Again, I'll repeat the same question. 2035, will the world look to India for its algorithms or augmented humans? Which should be our calling as a country?
Algorithms.
So we had a very engaging discussion. I would like to conclude now. So, four defining messages emerge from our panel today as critical takeaways. First, our approach, India's approach to AI in education is systemic. It's anchored in digital public infrastructure, moving beyond simple adoption forward, an enabler for a complete transformation of our research ecosystem, which is the need of the hour. Second, the Ministry of Education has evolved into a strategic ecosystem orchestrator by connecting governance, industry, and frontier research. We are building powerful, sustainable models for responsible AI innovation at scale. Third, the real frontier is not just technological readiness, but institutional courage. The challenge ahead lies in preparing our teachers, institutions, universities, and governance systems to adopt AI both meaningfully and equitably. What stands out most is that India is not merely adopting tools, we are building national capability. Through our AI Center of Excellence, curriculum reforms, translational values, and talent pipelines, we are creating a global reference model for large-scale transformation. As we march towards Viksit Bharat 2047, our task is to ensure that AI remains a primary enabler for inclusion, quality, and opportunity across the entire education continuum and society. Before I conclude, I leave you with one final reflection. In a world where AI can replicate our expertise, how do we redefine the unique value of human spirit at work? I thank all the distinguished panelists and wonderful audience for the contributing to this vital national conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And to close this session, I would extend a warm thank you to our Honorable Minister, Shri Dharmendra Pradhanji, Minister of State, Mr. Jayant Chaudhary, the Organizing Committee, Minister of Education, and I, Aishwarya Upadhyay, on behalf of CPMU IIT Jammu, who would like to thank you all to grace this event and officially close this session. I would request everyone to be seated on their seat and let the dignitaries proceed. Thank you. The next session is on industrial AI. Those who want to be seated for this session.
systems that are currently remotely piloted, or existing manned systems that can become human-machine teams where the AI is augmenting the pilot's ability to fly the aircraft as well as to conduct and complete the mission. AI also allows us to now think about the here and now implementation of concepts like manned-unmanned teaming. And all of these technologies are no longer, theories of the future, but technologies that have already been deployed or are currently being deployed the world over. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. And
yeah. Thank you. Thank you to all our panelists and moderator for an engaging and insightful discussion. So let's felicitate all our distinguished panelists, please. As we conclude, one message stands clear. AI in defense is not about replacing the soldier, it is about empowering the soldier. How we build, integrate, and responsibly govern AI will define the future of national security. Thank you all. Jai Hind. I request all the guests to be on the stage for a group photo, please. One group photo.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Cool. So the next session, we are going to focus on a couple of terms which are, I would say, two of the most discussed and the most important topics everyone is discussing these days, AI and cybersecurity. So the panel discussion is going to focus on cybersecurity strategy in era of AI. As we all know, like we talk about AI, that AI is going to make our cyber defense system more resilient, smarter, reliable. But at the same time, we also need to understand that, AI is a shield, but also a sword. So the same set of algorithms, same set of tools and technology are being used by the bad actors as well. So it's a fight wherein both the parties are equipped with same set of weapons. To put things into perspective, let me give you a simple stats. So as per an estimate, last year cyber crime costed the world around 10 trillion US dollars. Now that is something, if you put things into perspective, if it were to be a country, then it would be the third largest economy in the world after the US and China. So keeping the problem impact in mind, we are going to have a powerhouse panel with us, and I would like to invite all of those to join us on the stage and give us some insights into the current state of cybersecurity and where we are headed next. First of all, I would like to invite Dr. Sanjay Bahel. He is the Director General of CERTIN and one of India's foremost leaders in cybersecurity operations and policy. Then we have Dr. Huzur Saran. He is a professor at IIT Delhi and a leading voice in network security and next-gen wireless systems. Then we have Mr. Rajat Maheshwari. He is Senior Vice President at Mastercard, a global thought leader in digital trust and holder of 50 plus patents in AI and cybersecurity. Last but not the least, we have Mr. Mohit Joshi, co-founder of App Sentinels and he's an expert in application and network security. And guiding this conversation, we have our moderator, Colonel Debashish Bose. He is Director of Cyber Policy at the National Security Council Secretariat and a distinguished expert in military networks and national cyber strategy. Cool. So, should we get started with the group photograph? Sir, if you can come this side and they can take a group photograph. I'm sure we are in for a compelling, insight-packed discussion. So without further ado, floor is yours, gents.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for joining us for this critical discussion on cybersecurity strategy in the era of AI. So as we are all aware, we are currently seeing a fundamental shift in our digital landscape, and more so particularly in the Indian context. For years, cybersecurity practitioners have played a game of cat and mouse with tactics and maneuvers largely restricted to being aware of the threats and having the latest signatures. However, with the advent of AI and their incorporation in both sides of the game, the rules have literally changed. From human-made attacks, I think we've now migrated to machine-scale warfare. Though it is supposed to have benefited both sides of the spectrum, for the security teams, of course, no doubt, like the previous discussions also said, that for cyber defense, it has been greatly helpful, analyzing petabytes of data, then detecting anomalies which would have surely escaped the human eye. But at the same time, it has benefited the malicious actors also. The same technology is being weaponized. We've got fantastic phishing campaigns which look just like legitimate communications. And of course, there are other more nuanced implementations. However, coming back to the strategizing perspective, as we are all aware that this current cycle of AI, the iteration cycles, we've seen multiple technology cycles in the past. They had maybe life cycles of decades or years. But these iteration cycles are now becoming smaller and smaller, which have got great impact from a strategizing perspective, coming down to months or maybe weeks. Another major characteristic, of course, again from strategizing perspective, is the diffusion. This is one technology, it is diffusing extremely fast. Again, great implications from a strategizing perspective. And lastly, I would like to we are in the era of OpenClaw. So, not really era, I'll say month of OpenClaw, something else will come up very soon. And these kind of deployments, they've got full access to data. They can autonomously, with your permission, without your permission, do activities by themselves through your browsers on the internet. In fact, it seems that the basic tenets of cybersecurity, the CIA triad, has been thrown to the wind, at least for the time now. And here we are talking of cybersecurity strategy in the era of AI. For once, I am thankful that I am not involved in the thinking and strategizing. So to help us navigate these complex waters, we have a distinguished group of experts who represent the front lines of this battle. They bring perspectives from enterprise leadership, technical innovation, academia, and national level governance. So some of the areas that we will be covering today are predictive threat detection, automated response, and machine learning based assessment as essential countermeasures. And industry and government leaders will discover strategies for implementing next generation architectures leveraging AI systems that detect threats faster and reduce breach costs, secure critical infrastructure against evolving cyber threats. So without further ado, I would like to dive in. And to begin with, we'll set the context in terms of the current cybersecurity landscape. To the panelists, I've got a common question. We would like to look at how cybersecurity has evolved in the last 2 years in terms of volume, types of attack, type of defense mechanism, types of market opportunity, its importance in the global geopolitical landscape. To begin it off, if I could request Dr. Saran to give us your research and system security perspective.
Thanks for having me on this panel. So the challenge in the last 2 years, the volume, I think the numbers are there. It's growing very fast. The attack in 50 to 75%, I think, are the figures that are published by the research agencies. But I would say it's not just the volume itself. I would say the very nature of the attack has fundamentally changed. You see, we have had so many you see, first thing is, what are the attacks that are more popular or easier? See, attacking cryptography is always hard. So you don't see so many attacks which are really trying to crack your cryptography, right? So instead what has happened is, one is attack human, social and emotional mental software. What we call phishing attacks, voice phishing, things which try to get humans to do things that let the system into the attacker in the door, some way or the other. You know, all these parcel scams on the phone you see, all these attacks where some human agent is ends up letting an entity in. Now these attacks have gotten very sophisticated now with the use of AI. Why? See, earlier you would just generate some general mail saying, I am from your friend, look at your contact list, send a mail out saying, I am your friend, I got stuck in Nigeria, please send me some money. These were the kinds of things. And it was very easy to detect that these are not real. You didn't expect this friend to ever go to Nigeria. Today with AI, you collect all the data, all the Instagram and Facebook data about every friend, how he behaves. And then you write a mail. The mail looks like coming from a friend. It is hyper-personalized. The way it talks, it says, oh, we went to this Bali last year, and now I'm having this problem. So you believe it. The point is, AI is helping you convince a very, and of course, not to talk about deepfakes and having a voice which mimics your voice. See, somebody records us on this panel, which may be on YouTube, and he can create voices for each one of us, which looks very much, sound very much like this. With AI today, that's possible. So all these kinds of attacks, which are a very different level of attack, right? That's the real problem. So how do we deal with it? The second point you said about defense. So clearly we want now the defense also to be agentic, to be intelligent. If I get a phone call on my phone or a message on my phone about some parcel, there should be an agent on my phone which automatically recognizes it. This is a pattern of a known attack and should be reacting on that before I even have to look at the message. See, so bringing agentic AI into the defense is a way you need to deal with it. These are some ideas. Of course, other panelists will also comment, so I'll stop here.
Mohit, if I could request your API and cloud security view.
Thank you for being here. I think it is a packed question. So let me start with basic things, right? What has changed in terms of, attacks, right? I think the biggest change that I've seen is the democratization that has happened today, right? If you look at a couple of years back, what you needed to do an attack, it requires a special skill. But today it is not. The Gen AI has really compressed that skill gap that is required to do an attack, right? That has been one of the biggest game changers, right? Now, so that is from the attack perspective. Now, if you look at from a defense perspective, now the similar things fly, right? If you look at automated defense systems, be it, automated SOC analyzers, phishing and email-based attack detections, which are AI-based. But I believe that this is from the technological front, right? But looking more deeper into it, you will also see how the game has changed in terms of, some of the regulatory things that have brought the cybersecurity to the boardroom, right? The SECs, the certain regulations which have forced the organizations to have, or SEBI guidelines, right? CSCRF, which has brought in some of these, CISOs directly reporting onto the boards. I think that has been a game changer in terms of shifting on the defense side, right? Now, so as Ankur, I think, rightly said at that point of time, that the whole AI thing is a double-edged sword. What helps in attack also helps in on the defense side, right? Now, on the government regulatory side, I think, looking at any asset, be it, your LLMs, your AI assets, everything is becoming a national asset, and so it is an integral part of a national policy also, right? So that's how I see it from an overall perspective. I think more than last 2 years, I will say maybe less than a year or less than 6 months, we have seen a drastic change in how the AI has completely changed the game around us, right? So that is something that I prefer to put as my view on this.
Thank you. Could I now request Dr. Bahel to talk about national cyber defense trends that you see from a national perspective?
Hello? Hello? Thank you for inviting me on this panel. I think how many people here are from the security field itself, or handling SOCs, etc.? Few of them. All right. So the velocity, the variety, the complexity of threats have exponentially increased. And as Professor mentioned, they are continuously increasing. Now, if you see the amount of data that is being generated, though, for those who man the SOCs, etc., or look at security devices, now there are terabytes of data being generated. So how do you handle those? I mean, you have people who are handling these SOCs, etc. It's becoming impossible for them to handle this data, and it is creating a fatigue, and obviously also creating health problems for them. And they are also wanting to shift careers much faster than they enter these careers. So how do we handle all these situations? And if you're seeing from a defensive perspective, there are now various aspects which are emerging, such as real-time detection of anomalous activity. So if you are seeing malware in your systems, you are seeing anomalous activity, AI can help you detect that rather than you trying to figure out, and which takes time. You're also seeing assisted threat intelligence. It is gathering from multiple sources that you tell it to and gives you the necessary threat intelligence for you to act upon it. Rapid correlation of threat indicators, because you now got intelligence coming in, you got some incidents, etc. How do you address the threat indicators, and what are those threat indicators which can help you safeguard yourselves? Obviously, continuous monitoring is required, and that is where the agentic SOC can be a very useful tool which you may have, and that is what Professor mentioned about agentic AI, etc. And then you have the need for predictive security to strengthen your incident response itself, and that's where another area where AI is helping. I don't know how many of you have gone through the World Economic Forum Global Cybersecurity Outlook 2025, which mentions about search in AI-driven situational awareness system, which analyzed and detected 2.2 billion malicious domains and phishing activities, affecting almost 7 lakh users in 2024. So if you are going to analyze and detect 2.2 billion malicious domains, is it possible humanly? Obviously not. And that is where AI has been playing a crucial role, and we've been able to safeguard almost 7 lakh users from getting impacted. And I hope you all know how dangerous this phishing can be, and how many people have been falling prey to it and losing, lots of their hard-earned money, as well as organizations losing data. I think I'll stop there because there are umpteen number of areas, but I think that gives you a flavor.
Sir. Rajat, could you give us your insights about the shifts in global payments and identity in this context?
Thank you, Pedals. I'll speak from the perspective of financial ecosystem. We are seeing massive rise in two areas. One is, of course, scams, and the second one is around the borderless nature of cybercrime. If you see the journey of scams, what we have observed in the last 7 to 8 years, it started with, kind of attacks where you steal someone's credentials and then use those credentials to perform the transaction. Then things evolved, and then it came to phishing and smishing, where someone is stealing your OTP or someone is stealing your data or asking you to provide the data, and then you end up performing a bad transaction. Then came malware, where your devices are getting infected with malware, and then someone at the back end can see what you're typing on your device, and then you end up losing your credentials, and which ends up in scams. And lately we have seen the scams which are more authorized in nature. When I say authorized, which means that you yourself want to transfer your money, it's your account, your device, your credentials, who can stop you? I'll quote one good example, not example I would say, but the scam which happened in Japan. Japanese lady ended up transferring $30,000 to a person who claims to be an astronaut, is in love with the person and wants to return back to the earth. So this $30,000 is landing fees to earth. Sounds very absurd and hard to believe, but the mental state of person who is in love right now is very different. I mean, all of us in the room have been in love at some point of time, I assume. And it applies to other modus of operandi also. What's happening with digital arrest in the country, where people believe in something and then they end up transferring everything, whatever they have. So investment scams are another ones which are happening predominantly in the country, where people are made to believe in something and then they end up transferring the money. Regarding cross-border nature of cybercrime, it's evolving. Someone sitting in one jurisdiction using the infrastructure in 5 other jurisdictions and scamming the person in 10 different countries. So it's not about an individual which is kind of sitting at the, we see in movies someone sitting in the garage and then trying to scam. It's not that, it's criminal syndicates, it's a big setup which are kind of targeting countries, individuals, and that's what we are seeing in last 2 years, which is happening predominantly, especially from financial ecosystem perspective.
Thank you so much, Rajat. Moving on to AI and cybersecurity. This round we'll begin with Dr. Behel sir. If you had a magic wand to and have AI solve one cybersecurity problem for national defense, what would it be?
No, first of all, I don't believe in these magic wands, because whatever predictions have been there have gone for a toss, completely out of the window. So, that question coming from you is a little surprising. Having said that, one of the things that definitely I would love to see is, prediction of threats and also then ensuring appropriate response and applying patches, etc. Because whatever said and done, you will still have software for all the systems that you have. They will still, because they are still being developed either by AI now or earlier by humans, they will require patches. Maybe now they'll require less patches. Okay, but there'll always be a new use case, again discovered by AI, to ensure it gets in. So earlier it was humans who were finding vulnerabilities, now it will be AI finding vulnerabilities in systems developed by AI. So how do you start predicting, how do you start making sure that they are patched, and how do you respond to them? Across various sectors, across supply chains, and across various states in the country. So that is something which I would like to definitely look at to ensure that we are safe and secure. When you're looking at supply chains, definitely I would like to see the bill of material, whether it is software bill of material or crypto bill of material or the AI bill of material or the quantum bill of material, all that should definitely be available so that in case something has to be done by the human beings in the loop, they know what they have to do, where they have to do, when they have to do. In case you do not have these bill of materials or the hardware bill of materials, etc., what are you going to be doing? If there is an attack, if there is a vulnerability which is being exploited, do you even know what you have to fix and where you have to fix? Do you have that system in your organization or in your office, etc.? So those are things which I think will be very useful.
Thank you, sir. Next, going to Professor Saran, where do you see research in AI moving so that it can actually help the cybersecurity world rather than making it more vulnerable?
So, sorry. So, you see, research in cybersecurity, I think the old paradigm of intrusion prevention, there's that, whatever was there was the timelines were very long. You ended up with situation where new pattern attacks were detected by the OEMs, patches were pushed out, and then you had a reaction that the attacks could be stopped. But that would be a timeline of days or weeks at least. Now we want sort of self-healing code where the agentic AI is sitting at the IPS or equivalent protection system, firewall, whatever. It is rapidly seeing the pattern of behavior and reacting to it, right? And even you can say some new thing got deployed, you do vulnerability assessment, you find a vulnerability, the LLM is integrated so that it can patch that vulnerability by generating the relevant code. You know, these are the kinds of things where interesting work can be done. I'm not saying this is deployed, that this is research that can be done to develop sort of whatever you had earlier, IPS, vulnerability scanning. Now you say vulnerability scanning and fixing should be done by integrating an LLM. No? So things like that. The second part of the picture is that just because you're using AI in a big way, now people are saying when you call a customer agent, it will be an AI that will talk to you. When one company calls another company's customer agent, AI will talk to AI, right? So now AI is talking to AI. What's going on there? See, the catch is, okay, AIs are in the end some neural models of some sort. The greatest and best neural system we have is the human brain. You know that even human brains' visual systems can be fooled. You have examples where people publish pictures that look something to somebody else or something to somebody else because you know there are patterns in the human brain's wiring which get fooled because it has evolved evolutionary, but you can always find something which will make your visual system or your audio system get confused. Now this is a very sophisticated trillions of neural system. What you are going to build here are going to be even smaller systems, not as gone through the same level of millions of years of evolutionary back and forth. So these systems, AI models also have weaknesses. They are, for example, people have shown, if you have a face recognition system, you take a picture of my picture, it will recognize me. But then you take that picture and add a little bit of pixel noise to it, cleverly put pixel noise. The picture to any other human will still look like me. But to the AI, it will not recognize me because those little patterns will cause its model to go haywire. Now, suppose I can do that. As I was coming, we were talking that tomorrow people are talking about self-driving cars. If a self-driving car, based on a visual system, looks at a camera, there is a stop sign. Now, I take that stop sign and add pixel noise to it and stick it back in. Right? To a human, it still looks like a stop sign. To the autonomous car, it looks like go ahead at 100 kilometers an hour. You can create an accident in 2 minutes. This is just illustrating the point that we are trusting our AI models. As you know, there are no proof of correctness of AI models. There are people who are studying vulnerabilities of AI models to explore where an AI model is failing. So this whole space, how do you prove that the AI model is actually doing what you intend and not more? That's one kind of research. B, how AI models can be attacked. B, if I'm going to build software or I'm going to interact with I am a freight forwarder, I talk to my shipping company, the shipping company's agent talks to my company's agent, both are AI agents because they replace people. That's what the narrative is, at least. People will be replaced by agents, AI agents. These AI agents talk to each other. What if the shipping company's agent incorporates something to fool my agent, or my agent incorporates something to fool that agent? Suddenly I will be losing billions of dollars and I won't even know. So all I'm saying is these are all opportunities, AI correctness, weaknesses in AI models, how they can be exploited, right? These are all a lot of interesting research properties. The auditing of AI models. There's a lot of entrepreneurial opportunities are there, deep research opportunities are there in some of these topics. Thank you.
Now coming to Mohit, what AI-based security solutions are actually mature enough for enterprise deployment today?
Yeah. So I'll just touch upon some of the things that we've been discussed in terms of there was actually a real attack. I think in 2024 or so, a group called Scattered Spider, I think so, right? And it was very simple attack to say that you could just call a person and call a help desk, and the losses were up to the tune of $100 million plus. Okay. Now, what has happened with AI coming in, as Dr. Saran was also touching upon on some of these points, some of these things again has been very much democratized. You don't need the social skills, really need those social skills, right? You have systems which can help you, say a voice API where you connect, you generate that voice, and you do same type of vulnerability and same type of social engineering to get that done, right? A lot of research is that happening in that area, right? And some of them, I'll say that modern day AI systems have been able to do that, right? Not only do that, and as some of the pixel noises, etc., were being spoken about, they are also crossing that barrier, right? And it's a daily changing field, right? In terms of what products should be used and what should not be used, and what has reached a certain maturity level, I'll classify that from an organizational perspective. Security teams or CISOs should look at, maybe develop a framework where we say that there are certain products which have reached a certain maturity level, and if you're not really using them, you're falling behind. And there are certain products that you may want to pilot, you may want to experiment, or you want to wait and hold for some time, right? So I'll say that in terms of behavioral detection, things like phishing email detections, or some of these have been recently been successful. There was a recent report around that from Palo Alto Group, where they talked about some of these things getting detected by behavioral detection, right? And some of the SOC where people are using, I will still call it assisted SOC. It's not up to a level to say that you can build a fully autonomous system around that, right? So some of these behavioral detection areas, I will still say that if you're not using, possibly you're falling behind, right? And then there are other areas that we can speak about in terms of saying that are we in a position today to say that we can build a fully autonomous AI system which is taking a decision on our behalf at all points of time? I'll say yes at some point of time, because someone has to look at what is the cost and what is the blast radius of a decision that an AI system detects, right? It's not about, I will say it's not about AI maturity, right? It's equally important about saying that, what is that blast radius? What does it cost you for not putting something in place, right? If someone were to ask me, I'll say that if it is about just another alert, I think it's worth it, right? Because it may be a wasted alert. But yes, if a system you put in place which takes an autonomous decision and it impacts your business, right? That's a big thing, right? You want a human in loop in between, right? But having said that, again, I'll say that, then if you're not really getting into AI, not using these products, right? You are fighting a gun battle with a knife, and you cannot do that. Right? Today, attackers are not waiting for you to say that, or waiting for their tools to say that, what is the effectiveness of that. They're still going and trying it out. And you, I'll say the security teams, or CISOs have to be there, they have to be ready. And just that distinction where you want to put the human in the loop, and that decision, I will say less from a maturity perspective and more from how does it impact and what is the blast radius is some decision points that, people need to look into. But there's no going back. That's what I see.
Coming to Rajat now, could I request your insights into how the financial sector is using AI to fight cybercrime and scams?
Yeah, thanks. So I will put up two examples and case studies also, like how we are using ecosystem intelligence to fight scams. There was an interesting scam which happened in Malaysia. Someone posted a picture on a social media platform receiving the award from Health Minister, and the caption was, "Diabetes can be cured, please buy the medicines from the link below." And the impact you can imagine, everyone clicked the link and ended up transferring the money. Most of the financial institutions, the way they are preventing this kind of scams or frauds are singular in nature. For example, I have an account with Bank A and I'm transferring money to account B. Usually they will check the velocity with which I'm transferring, what is my behavior, whether I transfer in the morning or I transfer in the evening, is this a new beneficiary. These all are singular in nature. When I put up an advertise like I can cure diabetes and you will buy things for your loved ones, lots of money will come into me which today's control will not detect. So we have worked on an ecosystem intelligence solution which we have deployed in UK, which essentially looks after the pattern that what's happening in the ecosystem. Is this account suddenly receiving money from 100 different sources which looks like a mule pattern, and then the money is going out somewhere else. And this was very effective in UK in bringing down the scam numbers. I mean, some of the people who have actually worked on this are sitting in the room, so kudos to them. Yeah, this was one of the most efficient use of AI in bringing down scams. The other area which I would stress what financial ecosystems is doing is investing in proactive resilience, cyber resilience. Most of the systems what we had in place were reactive controls until now. So the complete industry is coming together in proactive resilience.
So moving ahead to the next section where we talk about organizational collaboration, and keeping in mind the experience of the previous panel, I would request each of the speakers to give one major thought in the questions that follow. Starting with Professor Saran. What does effective collaboration between academia and industry look like in this space? And more importantly, what are the barriers and how can we overcome them?
One of the ways you can deal with such a diverse and sort of modifying that over time is to work together. Whether companies work together, industry associations work together, and of course, industry and academics work together. Now, of course, fundamental research, obviously, companies also sponsor, governments also sponsor. That model always is there and will continue. Sponsoring PhD students, things like that. But more concretely, one challenge in academics you face is you are not necessarily familiar in real time with the emerging threats, right? And you don't often have the data on which you can work. Like he said, bank transactions are happening in a certain way. Now we can look at behavior. How do we model this behavior? What is the way of the behavior is changing, right? Or keep the same thing. And again, there's the issue of, see, where is the person coming from? You just look at the IP, then you do geolocation. If you have cellular data, you can find out where he is. Should he even be there? If you integrate multiple sources of data, this guy is supposedly coming from a foreign country, but he has not left the country because of other information. So the point I'm trying to make is that if you bring in multiple sources of data, you can be more effective. And for that, academics has to work with industry, maybe multiple industry, even with government. And of course, there is the issue of how do you share data. There are a lot of issues with sharing data. There is DP privacy issues. There is regulation on that. Similarly, once you develop some new technology, who owns the IP? What are the IP models? So these are some difficulties. Similarly, you know, for young students who are going to do a master's or PhD in this area, see, we can teach them theory, we can show them labs, we can put a cyber range and they can model simulation scenarios. But spending time, few months in industry, in a real world setting, can give them much more meaningful perspective of how the world is going on and what are the nature of attacks. So if we work together with industry, both exposing young minds by short either 2-month internships or a joint sponsored PhD or master's, where the students do a project jointly with industry, where the data access issues can be worked out, you know, because that's a very big concern. As a company also, there are a lot of liability issues when you share data. So these are issues that as you said, they are bottlenecks. I think that is one kind of bottleneck. IP also, this is easier, you can define some IP-light agreements. But again, these are issues which are legal issues where companies, legal departments have to get involved. So it takes some time. But I think this is a space, and especially if we can get government also to help. There are some data that only government or some regulation which allows us to at least use this data for research purposes through suitable agreements, NDAs, whatever is needed, right? So that we build either, for example, for the financial industry, we have a consortium of major companies and regulatory institutions and bring in the relevant educational institutions. And under that framework, at least data can be shared and people can work together. So these are some models we will have to do. Otherwise, we will always be losing behind the arms race because the attackers are not constrained in this way.
Rajat, coming back to you, the payment ecosystem has got multiple categories of players. How do you coordinate cybersecurity across such a complex value chain?
Agree, Colonel. So we have a very complicated ecosystem. We made a strategic acquisition last year, Recorded Future. It's the largest threat intelligence company in the world. And I mean, if you see our network as MasterCard, we have been running this network for more than 50 years. And touch wood, we have never got a downtime because of any cyber attacks. We are facing millions of attacks every day. But then the thought process evolved over time. I mean, we can keep our network safe with the tools, the methodologies, what we are using. But if the ecosystem is affected, transactions will not come into our network anyways. Imagine an example, you walk into a restaurant and then the terminal over there, the acquirer is hit by a cyber attack, or the bank which has issued you the card is hit by a cyber attack, the transaction will not come to our network. So that's where the thought process evolved. We started looking into how do we protect the ecosystem. So we made this acquisition, we customized the threat intelligence as per the needs of merchants, with the issuers, the acquirers, and that's how we are trying to protect that. The second thing is we are sharing lots of data to the neutral organizations like FSISAC, like Global Anti-Scam Alliance. We sit on massive amount of intelligence because I mean, if you see the one side, we have payment data, we can see the money flow, and with this acquisition, we see the cyber aspect. So we can stitch, or probably we are the only company which can stitch the narrative of cybercrime end to end. So we are sharing lots of intelligence. We are seeing something in West happening in Europe. We bring that intelligence, we prepare the response and share with the institution like CERT so that we can safeguard our issuers in the country. So data sharing is another aspect what we are doing as part of this.
Great. Coming to you, Mohit. How can startups and established companies collaborate more effectively with government entities, say like CERT?
So what one thing that I have seen is that in terms of what CERT does, or DICI has done, or for that matter, I have seen SEBI regulations, etc. Right? definitely from what I have known, or you know, even Certain is running Cyber Swachh Kendra and that critical national infrastructure protection programs, right? So as far as I know, that data is being shared. So I've not been really actively been involved in some of those activities in terms of using those that data for any purpose. But as far as I know, yes, some of this data is being shared, right? But having said that, one of the points that came in is in terms of regulatory requirements in terms of what data can be shared and what data cannot be shared. What I have seen and what I have noticed worldwide is that it's about, you know, we have reached a stage where we do not say that, you know, you need to really share the original data. There are mechanisms where you can have anonymized data, you have encrypted data, hash data, because at the end of it, the learning is more about saying that how can you learn more patterns? That's one part of the story and the second part of the threat intelligence, which Rajat covered in terms of, you know, who are the global attackers, who are the global threat vectors that are coming in, right? So something that what I've seen is that, from what I understand today, I'm not well versed into that area, but what I've seen is that, you know, that data is already being shared, right? In terms of, you know, some of the points that Dr. Sharon raised in terms of what academia can do with the industry, right? We always, we as a company, we also do that in terms of saying that, you know, involve people from institutions to say, you know, this is our problem statement, this is what we're looking at, this is the type of data that we have. Very much open in terms of sharing that, what we call the anonymized, the hash data, but then, as you rightly said, some of the data cannot be shared, right? There are regulatory compliances requirements around it, right? And so overall, I see that, you know, effectively two ways that I look at. One is that what Certain is already, as far as I know, is already doing in terms of sharing that data in real time to say, or you know, I think even IDRBT for that matter is running some IRBT 3.0 or something, where they do share this threat intelligence with all the financial institutions, right? In my opinion, most of the things is really in place. That's how I am seeing it, right? But definitely the gap between academic and you know, in industry is something that I really look has to be bridged, because I do see that when we are looking at hiring new people, looking at new people, I do see that certain type of gaps. But having said that, I think, again, I will say AI is a great enabler. It's a great enabler. Knowledge, information, everything is democratized today, right? So it's just that people need to be aware and use it. And this is a very famous, I was reading an article, one of the things that a lot of people are putting it aside, saying that no, it does not impact that. I think, yes, it is costly, it is expensive. Today, when you buy a proper commercial version of AI to be used, it costs you in excess of $200 to $250 a month. It's expensive. There's no doubt on that, right? But I will always say that people should use lower versions. Then only you get a feel of what is in there. When you use a free version, right, and not use a paid version, you do not get the feel of where the world has moved. It has moved way ahead.
Coming to Dr. Behelsa, in spite of paucity of times, extremely important question coming your way. What kinds of public-private partnership are most effective for national cybersecurity? And what would you like to see more from the private sector?
I think what is already mentioned, as Rajat mentioned, you know, sharing of cyber threat intelligence is very critical. But I would definitely like to see more. What is currently happening is these are different paid models rather than wanting to share. So I don't know when they use the word share, is it share or is it paid? So having said that, there are other things like you know, responsible vulnerability disclosure programs that CERT has, where even individuals can report to CERT saying that they found some vulnerabilities and these are issues and challenges in a particular national critical system, and we coordinate and ensure that that is fixed before it gets starts getting exploited and people going out in the media and reporting something of that sort. We also run the Cyber Swachhta Kendra. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but today we cover 98% of the digital population of this country. through that. And we provide them with the bots and malwares that their digital systems may be having. And they can then go and use cleanup tools from the Cyber Swachhta Kendra, which is provided by industry, free of cost. So this is a public-private partnership model. When the government is involved, the ISPs are involved, the academia is involved, and the private industry is involved. The private industry provides the tools. The ISPs are aware of whom this IP belongs to, so that the information can be passed on to them that their devices are infected. The academia provides antidotes as and when required if there is no antidote available. And we are churning billions of data every day. It's an automated system. It detects that there's C2 communication happening, and it informs the ISP. ISP informs the end user. End user can go to the portal, download free tools which are provided by the industry, clean up their systems, and be safe and secure. So, that's a fantastic model that has been working since 2017. And today we cover 98% of the population here. So these are some examples. There are many more. We work with a lot of startups or Indian companies who are providing excellent products at population scale. And also just for your knowledge, if you do go to Bharat Mandapam, you can see some of that at the Digital India stall where we have our pods. Just look at what is happening from an awareness perspective. Again, AI tools being developed by the startup companies, the content provided by CERT, etc. for children, and similarly content provided for school children as well as for organizations, etc., which can be used to help in a capacity building perspective and making sure that they are safe and secure. I think that's some examples, and with that I think time's up and stop it. Could we?
Gentlemen, what a session. It was really insightful and inspiring, and that too coming in from a rich and unique blend of government, academia, and industry. Truly priceless. So we are here at the AI Impact Summit, and I am sure the unanimous message coming in from the panel is that the impact is not to be measured only in terms of speed or scale, but it also needs to include trust, safety, and integrity. With that, I would like to thank all of you for your time and the expertise which you have shared with all of us. Thank you, audience. Have a great day ahead. Thank you. नहीं रखा ना. Our next session is on countering disinformation warfare and building resilient societies in the era of AI by TIES. I'm requesting the member of TIES to take over the stage and requesting the... So the time starts now.
I would request everyone, please be seated. We'll start in 2 minutes. Hello. Okay. Okay, we'll begin. I would request all the speakers to please get up for one picture together. Everyone at the back, please guys, be seated. Thank you so much, speakers. Before we begin, a quick question. We have goldfish on the table. Why is that, Nijar?
Hear me out. We all have heard this line that goldfishes have zero or none memory, that they forget everything that they hear. 3 seconds, puffed, everything gone. They don't remember anything at all. But if you research a bit more beyond the reels that you see or the places where you read these infos from, you will figure out that ye sach nahi hai, this isn't true. What really happens is goldfishes have in fact brilliant memory. They know how to spot, what to spot, where to spot, and how to remember it. So how did a smart species get branded as a forgetful one?
Not science, just a catchy myth, repeated so often that it felt true. And that's disinformation in its simplest form. Not loud, not always malicious, just familiar, shareable, and unchecked. In the era of AI, these myths don't just spread faster, they scale, adapt, and personalize.
Which brings us exactly to today's conversation. Disinformation in the age of AI, and how we build, or how we can try to at least build societies that are resilient enough to question, pause, and remember what apparently the goldfish can't.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Nishu.
I am Nirjar, and we are from TIES.
We will be your host for today's session.
This dialogue is curated by TIES. Let's admire this for 2 more minutes. Thank you. Alright, that's enough of entertainment. This dialogue again, like I told you before, is curated by TIES. What is TIES? Who we are, what we do. I'll tell you a lot about us. We at TIES are a youth-led organization that works at the intersection of research, media, and technology. With a digital community of around 3.5 lakh young minds in and across the globe. I know most of you don't know us, but you'll definitely know a lot more about us. And mera aadat hai plugin karne ka, follow us. Please, please, please. Go to Instagram, search ties.in. Follow us right now. You love our content. Anyway, TIES in itself represents a generation that doesn't consume just information and or abide by it. It represents a generation that questions everything and wants to know everything. And with a proud, subtle note, I must say, TIES is probably the youngest organization here who is organizing a main summit event inside of the India AI Impact Summit. Yes. We could do better, guys. We could do better. Let's go louder. All right, great. In fact, we prove that leadership today is probably and most definitely driven by vision and not just age. Thank you.
We are joined in collaboration with Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Research Foundation, a legacy think tank committed to policy research and nation building. SPMRF fosters the informed dialogue necessary for critical national issues.
Now, to help us unpack this critical issue that we are discussing today, we are honored to welcome an exceptional panel.
Representing Media and Research Affairs, Aditya Raj Kaul, Senior Executive Editor at NDTV. Joining him is the Patikrit Pine, Research-Led and Senior Research Fellow as SPMRF.
We are greatly pleased to have Achina Sirohi Maya, co-founder of EOS Group and AVTV. यार इनको आपने तो देखा ही है यार on your Instagram, on YouTube. Can we get louder, guys? That's more like it. We'll get better towards the end of it. Don't worry. All right. Joining with her and with rest of us, we have Sir Mukesh Jain, CTO of Capgemini, who has been a stalwart of this tech industry. Okay, I have started to love the energy. Let's build up more towards the end of it, all right? Additionally, like most of you know, we were also expecting Shri Jatin Prasad ji, who is the Minister of State. He unfortunately couldn't make it due to some urgent commitments, but we really hope that we can make up for his absence. Thank you.
Lastly, we have Hardik Pathak, the co-founder of TIES, as the moderator of this session.
Let's pass the baton to him. Let's go, guys.
Hello. So we will start the session. A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Hardik, and I will be your moderator for this IndiaAI session on countering disinformation warfare and building resilient societies in an era of AI. A few moments ago, my colleagues Nishu and Nirjar has set the tone for this session in a rather memorable way by invoking the idea of goldfish memory. That simple example captures the very essence of misinformation, how it spreads quietly, embeds itself into public consciousness, and eventually shapes how we think, react, and decide. What once traveled through word of mouth or printed pages now moves at an unprecedented speed through AI-driven systems, especially in a diverse, connected, and digitally active India. And this is exactly the reason why this conversation matters today. With this, I would like to start the session with my esteemed panelists, beginning with Aditya Raj Kaul. Sir, what comes through my mind is that misinformation today is no longer accidental. It is organized, targeted, and in many cases weaponized. The most aggressive disinformation campaigns against India originate beyond borders. Aditya sir, recently a deepfake video falsely showed you reporting that several army officers has resigned over alleged extrajudicial operations. It spread rapidly and was weaponized by Pakistani propagandists. Walk us through that incident. How did it happen? How fast did it spread? And what does it tell us about the sophistication of the state-sponsored disinformation?
Well, thank you very much, Hardik, for having me here. Firstly, it's great that India is hosting the Artificial Intelligence Summit out here at the Bharat Mandapam Ambedkar Center and Sushma Swaraj Bhavan. It's incredible not only because India is the fourth country to do this after UK, South Korea, and France, but also everything that we do today, every part of our life, in some or the other way is consumed by AI. And there are companies, there's private sector, there are perhaps some negative characters also indulging in the use of AI. So we can't run away from it. We also cannot only speak about the safety and the regulations of artificial intelligence, but we'll have to move beyond. And India has been speaking about democratization of the artificial intelligence. And I think that's incredible, because the gap between the rural India and the urban India would be reduced with more use of artificial intelligence and technology. Similarly, India's push towards global south and including the countries of the global south in this AI journey is about a resilient future. And that's what I think is incredible about India hosting this and bringing more than 70 countries perhaps together on this platform. I think it's a very timely and very interesting topic about disinformation and creation of resilient societies, also because in the last 1 year, India has had the trouble to go through, unfortunately, Operation Sindoor, which you all followed very closely. And there are some incredible lessons that we have to learn. Earlier this morning, I was speaking to the Commander-in-Chief of India's Strategic Forces Command. I was also speaking to the Director General of DRDO, both of whom said that there are a lot of lessons to learn when it comes to Operation Sindoor for the Indian military, for the Indian government, and perhaps for the Indian masses as well. For the masses and for the government, the biggest of all challenges has been disinformation. If you remember those 4 days between 6th and 10th of May last year, apart from the missiles and the rockets coming from Pakistan, I think the biggest threat 24/7 was the kind of misinformation and disinformation that was coming from that side. And are we prepared? Were we prepared at that time? To give you a very basic, neutral and unbiased opinion, I don't think so. I think we did recognize that there was a huge challenge of disinformation coming in from Pakistan, but I don't think we were very much prepared, because there were just a handful of journalists who were playing the role of perhaps an artificial intelligence bot or a channel of the government of India who could counter the kind of propaganda that was coming 24/7 from Pakistan. So I think we need to realize increasingly that this is a time, firstly, we have been saying for a decade now, that news breaks first on social media and then goes on television, etc. And many a times this news is artificial because this is planted in a certain fashion for people to believe. Just like Hardik mentioned that there was an AI video of me, which later we realized was done by the Pakistani deep state. So what happened really, to briefly narrate you a story, I was doing an interview with an Italian journalist called Francesca Marino, and this was on Jaish-e-Mohammed and the book she had written about it. To my surprise and shock, just days after this interview, I was forwarded several clips of this interview in almost similar to my voice, and this was a deep fake. And the Pakistani deep state was able to convert this entire interview video of me interacting with the Italian journalist about a so-called topic of Indian army personnel resigning and who are upset with their leadership, etc. So this was a deliberate plant that was done. And to my surprise and shock, I was getting this video from Indian army personnel who almost believed it and who was saying that, why are you doing this video? And I had to explain to them that, boss, this is not my voice, and this is a deep fake. So this is increasingly becoming a huge challenge, I think, for the government of India also. And I'm sure that we'll have the technology and the bandwidth to deal with it in future. But increasingly, such videos are coming out. During Operation Sindoor also, there were such videos coming out which almost left you believe that, we were facing a huge challenge at the border and we did not know what to do. Often we see global leaders, in a similar fashion, deepfake videos being used. And I think the biggest challenge during that time of Operation Sindoor was the kind of information that was coming in every possible minute and second. And we as journalists were trying to debunk it on X and other social media platforms, but this is much bigger. I mean, India is huge. There's only a very minute, minuscule population which is on X, Facebook, Instagram and other social media platforms. So how do you actually make those people believe in rural India or even in urban centers who do not use social media that, here's a war that is going on and this is the position that we are in? I mean, we did have those rumors about the civil defense exercise taking place at that time and how India was going to respond, which is great, and media does its role in a particular fashion. But I think when it comes to disinformation and misinformation, it's a huge, massive challenge. There needs to be one recognition that this is the future and this is what we are dealing with. Wars are not just about tanks, missiles, and the way to stop it is to also how to counter the kind of disinformation and misinformation that's coming in. And often this misinformation is also in the form of public statements that often come in from different sides of the planet, and we have to, of course, build in resilient technologies to deal with it. Lastly, I would mention, and stray away from this topic, I mean, it's great the kind of scale that India has used to organize this summit more than 70 countries participating, more than 20 heads of state out here. We have perhaps more than 100 companies who are dealing with artificial intelligence, many startups also participating. But I would be a devil's advocate and say that perhaps we need to also start with the basic. I would have loved if AI was used for crowd management and traffic management in Delhi, because I think that was the biggest talking point yesterday. I think the people who suffered at the gates wouldn't have suffered if we had used this, and perhaps this is a lesson for next time, how to use the artificial intelligence, and there needs to be public and private partnership to build on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya sir, for that deeply unsettling but absolutely necessary conversation, exposure of how coordinated foreign information networks operate against India and how quickly they can undermine trust if we are not prepared. Moving on ahead to Pratikrit sir now. Pratikrit sir, you have studied how narratives and networks shape security outcomes from PFI to broader social cohesion. Information warfare is about eroding institutional trust and turning societies against themselves. From a national security and a resilience perspective, how do we help Indians become resistant to manipulation while staying open to information in a democracy?
Thank you, Hardik, and it's wonderful to be in this beautiful event. Let me straightly come to the point. Couple of years back, one morning, I received a call from one of the news channels, English news channel, and I was asked, "Sir, there has been a bombing in Pentagon. Would you love to give your comment on that?" I said, "Bombing in Pentagon?" I said, "I don't know about this. Give me 10 minutes time." 10 minutes later, no call came because it took them 10 minutes to realize it was a deep fake. Imagine if that had stayed without any information for another 10 minutes. Stock markets across the world would have crashed. Somebody would have made a lot of money. Another 10 minutes, military would have been on air. That's a danger with AI. So government actually has come out with something called a couple of days back that every digitally altered image or audio has to be defined as synthetically changed information. You have to label it. And it's very, very important. But the issue is it that disinformation is something new? I would say not. We have been facing disinformation warfare for the last 150 years, and we are still not realizing that we are in the era of that war that's going on for the last 150 years. Why I say 150 years? In 1857, the whole of India unitedly fought against the brutality of the British in the 1857 mutiny. And the British realized that this country is too united. The construct they use to dominate and capture other countries will not work here. From 1857 onwards, they started linguistic survey. They started ethnic survey. They divided the country into Aryan and Dravidian. That never existed before. We started fighting on language. We started fighting on caste. And by 1947, we forgot that this country has been brutally traumatized, plundered, looted. The British alone looted $45 trillion. We forgot everything. And from 1947 onwards, what has been the narrative that all the wrongs in this country is because of the Brahmins. And we are still facing that thing. My friend Aditya is sitting here. He has been himself a victim of what the Kashmiri Pandit faced in Kashmir. A genocidal thing. And we are still driven by what the British constructed. And that's why Prime Minister Modi says that Macaulay mindset is something that you have to fight against. Another example of disinformation warfare. 1971 war, the war for independence of Bangladesh. Thousands of Indians, personnel of the Indian army lost their lives. India did everything possible to help Bangladesh liberate itself. Trained the Mukti Yodha. And when 1971, when Bangladesh was formed as an independent country, we thought that we have done our job. Now they will be a great, separate, friendly neighbor. 1971 onwards, after the war, we stopped. Pakistan did not. Pakistan kept on investing in Bangladesh to cultivate an anti-Indian narrative when we were not doing that thing. And we saw in 2024 when there was a regime change operation, we realized the kind of hatred that exists inside Bangladesh. That was not organic, that was organized. That was disinformation warfare at its peak. AI only amplifies that. AI itself is not the problem is the disinformation warfare. And you need to use the same AI tool to counter that. And always remember, you can never have narrative sovereignty till the time you have tech and data sovereignty. Because every AI would have its own bias. And we are facing it on a daily basis. The Maoists have been called Gandhians with guns. Imagine. The kind of brutality that the Maoists have done in this country, it is unspeakable. There was an event which SPMRF did last September on Naxal Mukt Bharat. And we were the first to bring in victims of Maoism in large numbers in a show, in an event. Now, what are we facing today? Think about it. Balakot airstrike happened. Aditya talked about Operation Sindoor. Balakot airstrike happens. The next day, ISPR comes and says, oh, nothing happened to that building. There's just a small hole. And we all fell for that trap. What is a trap? Because we are conditioned to believe that every time there is an explosion, things are supposed to dismantle, which always need not be so. So, Indian Air Force that day, particular during the Balakot strike, used something called a thermobaric bomb. It has fuel-air explosives. It enters the building through a small, because it has a very, very strong steel, armor. It enters, and it does not carry any kind of shrapnels. So, what it carries fuel-air explosives. So, it explodes inside by going through a small hole. And it creates reflective shock waves. So in that confined area of reflective shock waves where the temperature goes up to 1500 degrees Celsius for certain seconds, everything that is organic is vaporized. Air Force did its work. We did our work as the government of India did its work. But the moment that was shown that there is just a hole, and this is the typical Israeli warfare of urban-centric warfare mechanism to reduce collateral damage. What happens? You have the WhatsApp in front of you, you have the Twitter, you have social media, you believe what they were saying. You were not believing your own Air Force. It was as if the Air Force pilot was supposed to go down, take photographs, and then take over the plane again and go. So, fighting the conventional war, fighting terrorism in one part of it, fighting the narrative war is equally important. The ones who do terrorism project themselves as victims. How do you deal with that? The problem is in the morning when you open your social media or digital media, you do not decide what you would see, somebody else is deciding. Think about it, my last point. In 2024, when the thing happened in Bangladesh, everywhere it was projected as if it's an iconic thing happening. That's the next big revolution, and as if the next should happen in India. Right? And if you go to Eastern India that time, I've seen every mobile phone had the same kind of pattern of feed coming from Bangladesh. Somebody was controlling it. And that person was not in Bangladesh, but somewhere else. This time, 1.5 years later, when the election happened over there, that iconic student movement, which was told by the Western media that India should replicate to have a similar regime change operation, that student group got only 6 seats out of 299. Such was their popularity. That means look at the difference between reality and what is told to you. So we are living in a conditioned world where I would say you must read, you must see, but don't judge instantly. And any government will take a little time to react. But in today's world, it's a 365 days, 24/7 narrative warfare. And we are easily conditioned to discredit our own institutions, our own government, our own media, our own people, because somebody else told us so. That is where the problem is, and we have to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratikrit sir, for that strategic talk on how misinformation is misused in a society. Moving ahead to Achina ma'am. Ma'am, through EOS, you have built an ecosystem where hundreds of creators use Gen AI to reach billions. You are on the front line of AI-powered content. What does ethical AI look like in real world of creators and audiences? Where, in your view, is the line between responsible AI-driven content and deceptive deepfakes?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me here, Hardik. Very, very excited seeing India host this. Coming to your question, so this is something we've been thinking about for over 2 years now, since we started dabbling with AI avatars in around 2023, before this even became mainstream. And we do use a lot of AI avatars for our short form content across channels. So we came down to a simple framework consisting of 3 pillars. The first thing being consent means if you are replicating someone's likeness using AI, have they explicitly consented to it? See, if you're using your own face, your own likeness, for example, for my short form content, I use AI avatars of myself. It's my own opinions, my own writing. There, I think there's no question of consent, but if you are putting words in somebody else's mouth that they never said, then that's where the line crosses from responsible to deceptive. The second thing is transparency. Does your audience know that they are consuming synthetic media, or are you trying to hide the fact, or are you trying to trick your audience into believing that this is real human content when it's actually AI? So essentially, disclosing the use of AI in your content and maintaining that transparency is very, very important. The third thing is intent. For example, the kind of content that we create across the organization, across our multiple channels, is essentially breaking news, is informational content. So the intent behind it has always been to educate. So we feel like, in spaces where the information is the hero of your content rather than the personality themselves, we feel like the use of AI is, again, ethical there. But there's a saying, right? There's this analogy that I often use, that a knife, it can be used to either create a warm meal for your family, or it can be used to harm someone. So the knife is not the problem. Same way, the technology here is very neutral, but the intent behind using it really matters. So it essentially comes down to 3 things, that is consent, transparency, and intent behind using AI, and that's how you draw the line between ethical AI and unethical AI.
Ma'am, I have a follow-up question. What does your data show? Are audiences more engaged with AI-heavy AI-heavy content or human authentic content? Is there a backlash over AI-produced content?
So this is a great question, because we have a lot of data around this, a lot of metrics across billions of views from last 2 years, and what we have realized is it all comes down to 2 things, that is context and the type of content that you're creating. For example, for informational content, for news, for short form content, we have seen that AI generated content often outperforms human generated content. Why? Because speed matters a lot. See, when something happens around the world, people care more about learning about it faster, as opposed to whether it was created by a human or whether it was created by an AI. So in these spaces, we have seen that, if the content is informational, if it's short form content, we have seen that AI content often outperforms. Because if you are trying to break that same piece of news with an AI avatar, it's going to take you 20 minutes, versus if you're going to do it with a human, it's probably going to take you 4 to 5 hours, because you require a setup, you need to shoot, you need to edit that piece of content. The second thing that we have noticed is when it comes to long form content or opinions or personal stories or podcast, human content trumps AI content by a large margin, because there people are essentially looking to build a relationship with you. People want to see the micro expressions, people want to see the hesitation. So when it comes to long form content, I think human content, it definitely outperforms AI content. The way where AI essentially can be leveraged for long form content or telling personal stories is essentially using the tools to storytell better. For example, we had recently created a documentary on Indian infrastructure and roads. And there we wanted to tell the story about a particular road in Pune from 1950s, and we could not find any archival footage available for the same. So there we used a lot of AI tools to essentially recreate history, to storytell, the instances from 1950s better, and the audience really genuinely also appreciated it. So I feel like clever use of AI in long form with human-led stories is what we have seen perform really well, but with short form, especially informational content, AI performs better than humans.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for bringing in the creator and youth perspective and for reminding us that the real question is not just what AI can do, but how responsibly we can choose to use it. With this, I would like to move forward to have a discussion with Mukesh Jain, sir. Sir, from your 30 years of experience, including building products at Microsoft used by billions, what design principles are essential for trust and safety in AI era?
Thank you, Hardik, for having me. Jai Jinendra and Namaste, all of you. See, all my years, most of us probably have seen AI in the last 3 years and 3 months after the launch of ChatGPT, which was the great move, giving AI in everybody's hand. But I go long back. 1992 was the first time when I used AI, and that time nobody knew about AI, and it was very interesting that AI can solve problem. 1999 when I joined Microsoft, when I came to know about Bill Gates having junk email, 15,000 junk email per day, and that was the time I said, you know what, can you solve this with AI? And the response I get from Bill Gates is, that's theoretical. So yahi solve karna hai. Then there's a challenge, right? Let's solve this problem. So when we started doing this part, very early years of my career at Microsoft, doing this part, it was all about not just technology, not an algorithm, human behavior. I strongly believe AI is only successful if you are able to connect with human. So very simple algorithm, I'll just share in 1 minute, and you'll understand and how it was built, and then how it was forefront for most of the Microsoft technology after that. Think about it. Are you going to read a junk email for more than 5 seconds? Probably not. Are you going to delete an important email in less than 3 seconds? Probably not. Every activity or inactivity generates data. So AI is not just about using generative AI, ChatGPT, Gemini or Copilot. It's more than that. It's about, do you understand the fundamentals of the data, which means human activity and inactivity generates data. So my thinking starts from that point that yes, let's capture this. There was not much internet, there was not much ChatGPT, of course, at that time, and of course, there were not enough books that somebody have done this, and no Python, of course. So building that small solution, working it on my computer, and then I'm showing it to Bill Gates and getting a wow from him was like a Nobel Prize. 94% of the junk was caught within a week. That started thinking, what else can be done? So I was not good at English, so somebody forced me to write a paper, and that was the first paper I wrote, about 7 pages long, about how concepts of data, Pokayoke, which is the manufacturing concept, and human interaction part, can actually help Microsoft softwares. So to answer your question, in the 30 years, I was there for 13 years in the US, and that was most of the products, you know what can we do to understand the intent? The man was talking about intent, right? Understand the intent, what is the person trying to do, and accordingly, optimizing the solution for that person without touching data privacy part of it. So think about it, when you're going and doing a search, you will see a certain shade of blue. Again, done due to AI. Because I strongly believe, Dulhan wahi jo piya man bhai, which is a Hindi word translation for the word personalization. So now if I'm focusing on personalization, which means understand the signals of the human and accordingly personalize it so that it's done while keeping the data privacy law intact. So that was the foundation of it. But over a period of time, as you see, right, more and more people want to use it. But what they want to use it, can this help us do better? Now 2 ways you can use AI. You can use AI to replace your own job, or you can use AI as an assistant for yourself. So my focus always has been, AI is a great tool, but you have to start with the basics, fundamentals, data. Every activity and inactivity generates data. You start with the understanding of the data, analyze what's happening, कहना क्या चाहते हो, like what is the data trying to tell you, understanding those pieces and then interpreting it and getting insights. Oh, that's what's happening. While we were sitting outside, I was giving an example. Let's say आपका सर दर्द है, you have a headache and you ask somebody will give you a crocin or a dolo. That's it, right? But did you understand why this is happening? Are you going to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points in ChatGPT say, I have a headache, and you will not put anything compared to an AI understanding you. You know what, Mukesh? You slept a little late. You had a heavy dinner yesterday, and you traveled, and you were sleep deprived for last 2 days. The headache is because of that. You know what? You should press this is over here, that over here. Your headache will go away. Ayurveda, acupressure, all combinations together probably can work better for you. Are we there yet? No. But what is the disinformation? We are getting a lot of disinformation about this, do this, it will happen, that will happen and all. And of course, WhatsApp University, Instagram University are more prevalent because if it is printed, if it is done in a video, probably it's true. We are not saying this. The audience believes that. Audience believes that. When you hear that phrase saying that 9 out of 10 dentists recommends any product, I'll not name the product, you believe. Your mental state is telling you 90% of the people are saying this. That's disinformation. While they are technically true. Because 10 doctors have given recommendation of multiple toothpaste. But only jo dekhna hai wahi dekhte log. People will only see what they want to see. So I think AI, as was very well said, it's a knife. It's a tool. You can use it for a better purpose. You should use it for a better purpose. But I think what we really need is, based on some of the learned speakers already talked about, we need a defense mechanism like a kavach. Like a kavach. When something comes in, right? Is there a way we can say, you know what, is this news true or not? Because what happens? 100 lies will make it true. Because every news channel is talking about this, every site I'm seeing this part, maybe it's true. And that's exactly what is happening. And can you blame AI? Yes, you can blame AI. Why? Because AI job is machine learning. Machine learns. Machine learning from multiple sources and learning about it and then saying that, yeah, this is what truth looks like. But that this 100 site it has crawled, out of the 70 site had a misinformation. So how does it do that part? Is there any disclaimer part of it? When I saw a law being enacted in Singapore, wherein any AI related part, you have to have certain points. I think we have a good opportunity. And I'm giving my services also, some interaction, deliberation already happened in India, government level, wherein we can say, can we moderate this? Can we have a governance wherein, if you are spreading false information, doesn't matter whether it was AI or you yourself are doing it, it is penalized, and this is how you will be penalty. Bias. AI have bias. Gender bias. Nation bias. And a lot of other bias are there. Can we do this part? Coming from a technology background, I always believe that technology is there to help us. But then some of the innovation, I'm also working with some of the universities and where I'm an advisor to actually come up with some innovation in that area where we can do something and make a recommendation to the government. You know what? Here is a tool. Potentially we can use. Government may make a regulation immediately or may make it after 5 years, 10 years. That's okay. But at some point we need to have a tool, comfort tool that, you know what? I got this news. Is it fake or not? Is it possible to do? Yes, it's possible to do. But again, using AI. So opportunities are there. And one other thing I have learned, especially working with students, and get an honor to work with 4 different generations. But when you're working with them, we get to know that, you know what, yes, AI is here to stay. And with this AI Impact Summit for India, I think we are doing really great in terms of establishing that, yes, we are there. We are there in the not just in the race, but to make this really valuable for India, especially in the area which is near to my heart, which is into the area of education, healthcare, and farming. Hopefully, we'll be able to do this part. It will take us longer further.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, before I close up, I have a follow-on question to Aditya Rajkol, sir. Sir, you mentioned that India was on back foot during Operation Sindoor, especially for tackling the Pakistani propaganda. And it's a question from national security perspective. Is India ready for such future conflicts? Is India preparing?
I didn't say that we were on the back foot. I said that we had to be a little better aware and prepared. What happens in future is that a resilient India will certainly learn lessons, because in the past as well, if we see the operation that was conducted, the surgical strike after Uri, or for instance Balakot that my friend spoke about, after the Pulwama terror attack, and now after Pahalgam we had the Operation Sindoor. Every time you see that there are lessons that are there from the battlefield, and the battlefield is not just at the border, it is the cyberspace, it is also the information warfare that is prevalent. And I say this repeatedly, that the Indian Armed Forces, and it's not limited to the Indian Armed Forces, even when it comes to the internal security of India, I think there's a huge amount of disinformation and misinformation that is used.
We should perhaps have, private bodies and public bodies. For instance, we have EU versus disinformation. In EU, that works wonders. I mean, everybody tracks it very closely. Now, we do have a PIB fact check, but as it happens in bureaucracy in India, they do it the bureaucratic way. They wait for 12 hours for approvals to come in, and then it is posted. By that time, that fake information is spread wide across the WhatsApp channels, across Telegram, across Twitter. So I think we need to build in AI models that are, in time, synced with time, which are live basically, that can counter fake news live. I mean, we do have on X or other platforms right now, a node that comes in that is sometimes also not exactly neutral. I mean, the kind of responses that it receives, it's on the basis of that, that we have a note or a community note on that. I think there needs to be some kind of a neutrality with which the fact-checking needs to be done, not just based on ideology, etc. I think, Hardik, you are in safe hands. The youth of India do not need to worry. The Strategic Forces Command, the IDS, the Indian Armed Forces, I personally am very confident that they are prepared. I do believe that there's much more need of technology to be built in, synced in for the forces. And here at the AI Summit, I think it could be a very good beginning made for this coordination that the government does. But beyond this, as I said last time, I'm again devil's advocate that we do believe in the scale of and the magnitude of it, which is great. More than 100 countries coming here, amazing, fantastic. India taking the lead in AI among the top 3 countries, fantastic. But here we need to also look at the basic issues. Traffic management and crowd management would be something that we can begin at. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. With this, I would like to end the session as we are running low on time. On an ending note, I would say thank you to have such a thoughtful and honest discussion. What made this session truly meaningful that we covered AI misinformation from various perspectives. And from every perspective, like from external information warfare to societies, to how behavior and emotions content creation can change AI, as well as from perspective of business, enterprises, etc. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, my panelists. With this, I would like my colleagues Nishu and Nirjar to take over the session.
Great, that was insane. Now, you know the drill. Let's have a loud round of applause for everyone. I hope at least when we get back home today, we picture thoda kuch and take something out of this session. And since we still have the goldfish there on the table, I forgot to highlight it. Phir se bol raha hu, that goldfish. I hope your misconception about misinformation are a lot less now. I hope we were useful and I hope you got something out of the session. Now I would like to Nishu to take over and she'll do the honors.
We now move to a very significant milestone of the evening, the official report launch. I would like to call Devesh and Jal, the research team at TIES, to come up on the stage.
Thank you all for staying with us in such an insightful session. We all would have heard this, Ashwathama mara gaya, Ashwathama mara gaya. But this was one of the earliest incident when we heard of disinformation. The Mahabharata teaches us that even the mightiest warrior like Dronacharya can fall to words of disinformation. That single lie broke Dronacharya and turned the tide of the battle of Kurukshetra. Today, the AI which we see can create thousands of such movements, thousands of such disinformation campaigns at personalized level and with machine-like speed. What we have heard from our distinguished guests, distinguished speakers, are expert perspective. And what we are launching today by TIE's verse is how information warfare has changed from human coordination to AI-generated fakes, bot army, specialized messages targeted at us, targeted at you, based on what we click, what we share, and how we react. Let's go to the brief of our report. It covers especially the part of India, a country with dozens of languages, open internet, and active adversaries like Pakistan, China, and US. And all of this is happening right now, and this disinformation campaign is becoming a big hurdle. Our report tackles the tough questions, such as how do we stop this without killing innovation? How do we build detection without creating surveillance? And how do we protect people without controlling speech? Finally, our report lays out concrete steps, policy moves, tech investment, interagency protocols, and building a society that can spot and resist manipulation. Our report will be helpful to policymakers, security agencies, research institutions in India's AI revolution. Thank you.
I would request the panel to come forward for report launch. Jalan Devesh, please come for a picture. Thank you, everybody. You can take your places.
Now that we move ahead from here, we would now like to invite Prithviraj Singh and Ritika for an end thank you note.
Good afternoon, everyone present here and the whole Bharat who is connected with us via live YouTube screening. First of all, before closing, I want to try something quick with you guys. So I'm going to say a few words. And if you guys think that it spreads faster than truth, then just raise your hands, okay? So first is sensational gossip, rumors, outrage, forwarded as received. Exactly, and that's the reason why sessions like today are really important. Today, we didn't just discuss artificial intelligence, we discussed human intelligence, ability of humans to pause, verify, question, and act responsibly. We discussed policy to media, from research to civil societies, how disinformation is not just a technology problem, but it's a problem of trust, and the courage, and when we individuals lack courage to question what is told to us. At TIE's Verse Foundation, we have always believed in disseminating truth, whether during the instances of national importance like Operation Sindoor or like Lok Sabha elections.
And with that perspective, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the people who made this event possible. As the co-founder of TIE's Verse Foundation, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our eminent speakers. It has been a privilege to listen to Mr. Mukesh Jain, Mr. Aditya Rajkol, Ms. Achina Maya, Ms. Pratikit Pain as they unpack the evolving relationship between AI and the growing menace of disinformation. We are deeply honored by the presence of a guest of honor, and we sincerely value the consistent guidance and support of our partner at Shyama Prasad Mukherjee Research Foundation. One thing I'm constantly reminded of is that moments like this on stage are never built alone. A powerful workforce of 100+ people has been tirelessly working at TIE's Verse Foundation. I want to thank my co-founder Hardik Pathak, and my incredible team sitting over here and at home watching us on YouTube live. This day would not have been possible without you guys, so thanks for believing in the vision of TIESverse Foundation, guys. Lastly, we are grateful to everyone who joined us today for this session and for being such a responsive audience. Jai Hind.
Finally, for the facilitation ceremony, I would like to call upon Aditi Malia from TIESverse Foundation and Sunny Singh from SPMRF to join us on the stage.
We would request the speakers to stand up and click pictures with the team. Thank you so much, guys, for attending. It was a pleasure having you with us. And with that, we come to the end of the session. Bhool chook maaf kar dena. We'll come back in another session again somewhere down the line. Have a good day. Bye.
summit, I want to ask you, is India working with Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Africa to ensure that we're not staring at an AI divide in the, let's say, next decade? And also, sir, you were talking about AI sovereignty. Could you help us with a big picture of how sovereign is India when it comes to AI in terms of owning our data, models, and computing as well? Thank you, sir.
Hi, sir. Shweta Punj from Money Control. My question is regarding India emerging as a leader in the global south where AI is concerned. What is our strategy for that? And also the big question, when will India have its DeepSeek moment?
Hi, this is Supriya Roy from the Times of India. I just wanted to quickly follow up a little bit on the sovereign AI comments. What are some measurable milestones that will perhaps define India's success in that area? And if you could just pinpoint on the exact thesis, is it about isolation from geopolitical shocks that it guardrails against, or is it just to be a part of the global AI, have economic control of some sense on the global AI value chain? What exactly is the thesis there?
Sir here. Rohit here from Dynamite News, sir. I would
So I know it's been asked before, but since it's not been addressed yet, this is Arunav Saikia from AFP News Agency. So there have been news reports about Bill Gates not attending the summit and his name appear supposedly being taken out of the conference schedule. Can you please clarify that, sir?
Hi, sir. This is Navodita from Outlook Business. I wanted to understand a bit on the safe harbor part with AI deepfakes increasing rapidly and cybersecurity experts always saying that it's impossible to control it. Tech platforms always say safe harbor is something that protects them. Will the government relook into it with deepfakes being so massive? And also, we are seeing a lot of countries focusing on age-based restriction for social media platforms. Is that something that India is looking at?
Hi, sir. Jatin Grover from Mint. Just wanted to check the last 3 summits we have had in UK, Paris, and Seoul. So is there was no certain kind of a binding agreements on the countries? Is India maybe trying to have certain kind of a binding agreements wherein some of the things can be enforced on these countries? That's one. Second, on the startups which are building the foundational model here. Any kind of a plan to build marketplace for them because monetization would be a challenge. Is the government being seeing themselves as a client or maybe helping these people to get the marketings?
Sir, Rohit here from Dynamite News. I just want to ask, its government is planning, because India's large population is rely on agriculture sector, its government is planning to use AI to help farmers and farming sector?
Hi, sir. Danish from Money Control. My question is about the AI infra build out globally and global players prioritizing large AI markets like US and China. How is Indian government ensuring assured access to critical memory components for our own AI build out? And second question is on ISM 2.0.
Mineral or
Sorry?
Did you want to ask about minerals or?
No, memory components. Memory. And second question is government engaging with Samsung or SK Hynix to expand advanced memory packaging or fabrication under ISM 2.2?
Sir, Ronendra from the Hindu Business Line. I just had a query on the bilateral agreements that are being signed here on the sidelines, because there are a lot of heads of states are also coming here in this summit. So if you could share some bilateral agreements that we are getting into the countries.
Yeah.
So, Pankaj from Times Group, just wanted to know that will you be working out on a global framework around AI safety, copyright, responsible AI, and will China be a part of this? Because you've invited Chinese companies over here. So when we work out any global framework, will China be a part of that or not? Is the government open to that?
Sir, Ashish from Business Standard. You mentioned that you're talking to 30 countries on the framework for AI. We have recently come out with the SGI guidelines. I just wanted to understand what else can be there on those guidelines so that there is more responsibility and onus on global intermediaries.
Hi, a very good afternoon, sir. Ashmit from CNBC TV 18. Just a couple of questions, sir. One, a clarification. When you mentioned $200 billion in investments, is that including or over and above the 70 that we've already received commitments for? And number two, you've previously stated that India has, as a statement of intent, leaning towards nuclear power when it comes to AI infrastructure. With the Shanti Act now having been passed, what is the next logical step in terms of incentivizing the use of nuclear energy?
Okay, I'll take the questions from the fourth row. See, I've addressed many of the questions. I won't repeat that for the benefit of time. All yours time is as valuable as anybody else's time. Regarding Netflix, I'll cover Netflix, deepfakes, what else on the SGI guidelines. These three questions together. It's a given that any country which, any company which operates must operate within the constitutional framework of the country in which it is operating. So whether it is Netflix or YouTube or Meta or X, they must all operate within the legal framework and the Constitution of India. That's very clear. It has to be, it's a global norm. All multinationals understand this, and this is also a well-established legal position. Regarding the cultural context, it's very important for the multinationals to understand the cultural context of the country in which they are operating, because one particular cultural context can make so much difference. Something which is normal in one country can be prohibited in another country. Something which is prohibited in one country can be normal in another country. So it's very important that the multinationals, they operate within the cultural context of the country in which they are operating, and most countries, most companies do strive to do that, and always there is a learning curve in that journey. Regarding deepfakes, I think we need much stronger regulation on deepfakes. I think it's a problem which is growing day by day, and certainly there is a need for protecting our children, protecting our society from these harms. There is definitely we have initiated a dialogue with the industry already on this. What kind of regulation would be needed beyond what we have already, beyond the steps that we have already taken up? Even our IT committee of the Parliament have studied this issue, and they have also made certain recommendations. So certainly I believe that yes, we need much stronger regulation on deepfakes, and we definitely must create that consensus within the Parliament for creating those significantly stronger restrictions on deepfakes so that the society can be protected from these harms. Similar question is about age-based. This is something which has now been accepted by many countries, that age-based regulation has to be there. It was part of our DPDP when we created this age-based differentiation on the content which is accessible to young people. So that time itself we took that forward-looking step, and and right now we are in conversation regarding deepfakes, regarding age-based restrictions with the various social media platforms on what is the right way, or what is the right way to go forward on this. Copyrights is also part of it. This is again a very complex item, because most of the AI models are trained on media which is available in public domain, and we do believe that the content creators, especially the news creators, they must get a fair remuneration for the content that they are creating. That is something that we sincerely believe as government, and I think the public policy should also be oriented towards that. We are talking to the big platforms. They have all more or less shown inclination towards having a process by which fair remuneration can be given to the content creators, especially the news creators who are part of the conventional media, where the conventional media's content is being used by the digital platforms. And we believe that there has to be a fair distribution of the revenue which comes out of the big efforts that the conventional media teams create. We believe in that, and we are constantly in dialogue with the big platforms on that. The investment of 200 billion is likely to be exceeded, given what we hear so far. It is, at this point of time, what we understand is this is including the $90 billion, which has already been committed. But as we go forward, we are most likely to exceed this number also, given, but I would not like to speculate on this. I would like to give you very clear answers as we go forward. Regarding nuclear energy, regarding bilateral agreements, as new agreements and new announcements come, we'll share with you. Regarding memory, very soon we'll be starting the commercial production in a very large facility which is going to produce memory chips. Very soon that will be coming. Stay tuned for that. We'll be announcing the date very shortly. There are many more people who want to invest in memory manufacturing here in India. And we are also taking up a research project as part of our Semicon 2.0, where we can develop some IP around latest high bandwidth memory chips, and we are finding very encouraging response from the leading researchers on this, on developing the next level of high bandwidth memory in our country. We sincerely believe that AI must be democratized. AI divide is a, like tech divide, like any other social phenomenon, it's something that we must consciously try and bridge it, and that's why we are focusing so much on our Prime Minister's vision of democratizing technology. I've covered many other things regarding who's attending, who's not attending. That's personal choices which people make, which we should not comment, and I did not comment on that. If you want to comment, you can comment on your own, but I don't want to comment on it. We can go to the, we can take last 10 questions. It's already time for the next session. From the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th row. No, up to 4, no more.
Hello, sir. This is Tanvi. I'm from Fox News. You mentioned recently about the idea for global AI commons, and I believe India has a lot of advantages in engineering at scale